close the buildings and you can't get the zoning, then.
We'll get some
Well,
impact on
yeah.
education too, for
Right.
Yeah,
staff.
right, okay.
This, I've shared this with Bob Ward, and I asked him to take these versions and start talking with the teachers about, how do they feel about it, and get a little feedback on it.
With our preschool programs, the one that's follows the ed plans, are we allowed to follow a school calendar for those students? Or are they like on ed plans for so many days?
No, they have to be in school 180 days, which is another situation too, that we're seeing increasingly more students during the summer months
Yeah.
going into summer programs. And the reason is that if there's a concern that when you end in June versus when you open up, in the fall or in September or August, that if there's a potential to lose effective progress, then you have to provide that summer program. So if there's some way to perhaps end at one point and get back sooner, you might avoid, there might be some level of savings to where you don't need to have that summer program.
Are those programs in place too, if we were to close for 3 weeks for a winter break,
Well, that's-
could that come back at us?
No, I don't think so.
No, okay.
Any further discussion?
I have a motion on the floor.
Your motion was,
So there was no second?
no, there was no second for your motion. Which was your motion, to ignore all these
No,
versions?
my motion was to adopt version 1 and never, ever, ever bring up these other versions again.
There's no
That was
second
my
for that motion.
That
Yeah,
was-
sorry.
Sorry.
No second, all right.
Sorry, but that was good, good try. I'll give credit. Credit is due. Okay, next we have second reading of policy development for accommodations for religious observations. I'll note that many edits, changes are made favorable to me. I don't know anybody else, but I guess we need to have a reading here and then take a vote to officially adopt this new policy. Should I read it as the chair? Okay. This is policy JDH, accommodations for religious observances. Our American tradition requires respect for religious diversity and upholds freedom of religions and equality before the law. The North Reading Public School District serves children from many different religious backgrounds. Therefore, it shall be the policy to uphold this tradition in its schools. State and federal laws require schools to make reasonable accommodation to the religious needs of students and employees in observance of religious holy days. As part of these accommodations, students may miss school in order to participate in celebrations of their families' major religious holidays. Students are entitled to have individual accommodations made to allow them to participate in their family religious observances without detriment to their education or grades, including extensions of due dates on assigned work, at minimum, number of days absent +1, opportunities to make up material missed in class, including examinations and reasonable accommodations as may be appropriate. Any pupil absent from school because of a religious holiday may not be deprived of any school-sponsored award or of eligibility or opportunity to compete for any award because of such absence. Students whose observance of a religious holiday conflicts with participating in the school's scheduled event, such as tryouts, athletic contests, theatricals, or concerts, will not be required to participate nor penalized for their non-participation. Teachers shall refrain from scheduling one-time school-sponsored events, field trips, athletic events, music performances, theater plays, productions, auditions, and back-to-school functions on major non-national or religious holidays. Long-term assignments will not be due the day after a major non-national or religious holiday. This policy should not prevent coaches and advisors from holding practices for these events during major non-national or religious holidays. The North Reading School District reserves the right to adjust the school calendar to provide a school year of at least 180 school days while taking into account possible days of low attendance due to students and or staff observance of religious holidays. Legal reference Mass General Laws 151B, Section 4, 1A, and 151C, Section 2B. I have a motion to accept the new policy, and then we'll have discussion after that.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Venezia, seconded by Mr. Vaca. Discussion?
Well, I think my major concern with it was the expansion into the ethnic days. I think, as I said before, I think it's well written. I think it's fair. It covers, I think, what we need to cover, and I'm in favor of it.
I'm too, and I want to make a point that it basically puts onto paper a policy that's been informally in place with Dr. Troughton every year with his reminders to the staff and the administration about these days. I think it's well written. I think it serves the purpose, and now we have something that we can refer back to as a
There may be
policy.
one typo in paragraph 3, at the very bottom line of paragraph 3, will not be required to participate, not be penalized for their non-participation, or not penalized. Participate, not.
I think,
Not be
It would be
penalized.
yeah.
And I also think in the last paragraph, lower-attended student.
Yeah, student,
Drop the S.
right,
Right.
student interceptions.
To the student and our staff.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Policy Subcommittee. Okay, bills and payrolls. We all set? They're in front of clerk there? Okay. Minutes. Okay, first I have is the budget workshop from October 20th. I didn't find any issues with it. I don't know if anybody else has any. Can I have a motion to accept the October 20th budget workshop minutes? Do you want to-
Yes.
Motion by Mrs. Baca,
Yep.
second by Mr. Bowers. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I will abstain.
And one abstention, Chair. Then I have, that same night, I have an executive session, minutes for October 20th, 2008.
Ooh, motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Bach to approve, second by Mr. Bowers. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
One abstention. Then I have the November 24th, 2008 minutes. I have a couple of corrections. Under visitors, the second line, it says office, it should say officer, Officer Tom Hatch.
Where's this?
On the front page of the November 24th minutes, the second line under visitors, it says office instead of officer. And then on the second page, 2C1, under school building projects, the high school statement of interest, the only part that pertains to that is the first two sentences. Then the rest of it is a report on the batch, so I don't know if we need a separate subhead on that,
Okay.
because the batch isn't related to the high school statement of interest. There's also one other thing in that paragraph, and this was on the memorandum that Dr. Troughton handed out before the meeting, but then he corrected it. We actually received 7 million of the total, not 5 million. So approximately gonna be 1,291,947 remains.
How much?
Just instead of 3 million, it would be 1 million.
Oh,
291.
Yeah. And then the only other question I had, David, is, in the contract, on page 5, under D5, it talks about the administrator's contract. And we talk about the inclusion of the equivalent of 5 additional work days. And then you have per step there, but the steps don't matter, correct?
No.
It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th line on page 5, under contract. It says the inclusion of the equivalent of 5 additional work days per step.
No, it should be just.
Per step should be
strike
out of
that.
there, right?
Yes.
Right. You have that?
so take out per step?
Take out per step, yeah. And then that's all I had. Any other corrections or edits? Can I have a motion to approve, please?
Move to approve as amended?
Motion by Mrs. Davis, second by Mr. Bowers. All those in favor?
Aye. One
Opposed?
abstention.
One abstention, Mrs. Baca. And then we have executive session minutes from that same night, November 24th. The only thing I have is actually the same issue under the collective bargaining section on page 2, which is taking out that per step. It's like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line. That's all I had there. Can I have a motion to accept the executive session minutes of November 24th, please?
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Second. Motion by Mr. Metzger, second by Mr. Bowers. All those in favor?
Aye.
One abstention.
One abstention.
Okay. It's getting hard to get the words out, isn't it? mouth becomes all frozen. I know that Carl, I've never been so cold, and I mean, my nose is,
I saw this documentary on Mount Everest. No, seriously, when it happens next is you start to lose.
yeah, I feel like,
consciousness, and
yeah,
then
little,
you
yeah.
just lay down and you
I-
kind of like.
I am at the point
Just like go into almost like a.
Going into hibernation.
where I'm tapping my toes on the ground to see how many I have.
Guy lost his nose as big as ever.
It's not a big deal, don't worry about it, we'll be fine, folks. Folks at home, we'll be, and he's got a short sleeve shirt on running the camera there, so I don't get that.
Tony's
He's a warm guy.
generator, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she has, right.
Yeah, to keep them up off the floor.
Okay, let's see.
You can be strict.
We've got no budget report, no staffing changes, David. No bids and donations, subcommittee reports. We do have some of those, I believe. Oh, do we have it?
There's no report.
Oh, no reports, no.
Did them last meeting.
No sub, yeah, we did,
Reported like
last
five
meeting,
of
right. No strategic planning, administrative materials, David, anything you wanna highlight? I guess we just have a little school newsletter here. And, correspondence, anything? Okay. At this time,
I have some
Future
pictures.
business. You gotta go to the back side of those pages.
Oh.
The double side.
Future business, yes, our next regular meeting is December 22nd at 7 o'clock. And then January 12th, we're gonna be going to the Hood School
Right.
at 7 o'clock. And then we'll get to see Mr. McKay for the first time. Well, not for the first time, but to see his school. And then the 20th, our regular meeting. And then there is a meeting this week, but I don't know if all the members need to attend. I think I spoke with Mr. Mosseri. I think he just requested one or two school committee members, so I'm not sure.
Well, the committee's, I think the Board of Selectmen is meeting in executive session for the
Okay.
purpose of collective bargaining strategies, so there was an invitation to have two members of the committee go to that. It is Thursday, I believe, I actually have two times, one is 6 o'clock.
I have 6.
I think it's 6 o'clock.
I plan on being there.
I'd like to
If
be
you
there,
can't
I'm not
make it.
sure if I can be
Okay.
there, but I'd like to be.
Then I'll be there.
Okay.
You guys are bargaining.
Right.
so-
Right, right, I'll try to.
If you can, I'll be there.
And just, we do have, just athletic subcommittee is, next
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday at 12:30, and, policy subcommittee, it's not the committee. Youth at risk is January
January.
13th. Finance planning is on January 9th. And, we did set a policy subcommittee.
So you said the 12th?
We said we were going to.
What day is that?
Oh, we were gonna
16th
wait
is our
till
next
Next Tuesday, it would be the 16th. Right?
Yeah,
Right.
16th is Tuesday.
I don't have that yet.
16th.
12:30, 12:45?
12:30.
12:30. Right, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion to, we need to move to executive session
For collective
collective
bargaining.
bargaining and return, and litigation, and return to open session for the purpose of adjournment.
Maybe too late.
Is there a warmer room?
Motion by Mrs. Davis, I'm having a hard time recognizing people now, second by Mr. Bowers.
You're going to the
I'll
next
take
stage.
I'll take a roll call vote. Mrs. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Venezia,
Aye.
Mrs. Vaca,
Aye.
Mr. Bowers.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Going to the next stage. That's it. Hypothermia set in.
I have.
Times.